Howdy, and welcome to part 4 of our Protect Our Pollinator series. I'm Tommy, and you're at AldermanFarms, and we're glad that you're here. Let's jump right in and listen to Jolene and Sarah as they teach us more about the best type of plants to plant in your landscape to attract pollinators, because that's a good thing. We want lots and lots of pollinators. Let's go see what they got to say right now.
Well, we've talked a lot about flowers. Sarah, you mentioned one bush or tree talking about elderberry. Let's talk about some more. Are you guys prepared to talk about some more permanent additions to your landscape that would be pollinator beneficial?
I'll jump right in. I talked about elderberry bush or tree, but I think the main thing you want to think about is, well, two things. And Jolene, I'm sure will take this and expand too. You want to think about plants that bloom early, middle, and late into the season. And then in each of those categories, you want to think about the type of bloom. Is it big? Is it little? Does it have a big entrance? Does it have a small entrance? You want all of it. You want it
diversity.
All. Yes. The more diversity, the better. The better, more colors, the better. You know, some things like certain things. Let's just put it that way. So you just really want to, like, the diversity is key. And I'll let Joel run with that.
Absolutely.
Let me jump in for just a moment, because that's actually in my limited knowledge so far. It's amazing how different pollinators are attracted to different things. And there are pollinators out there that are, I've forgotten the term, but they're multi-use, so to speak. I mean, they'll pollinate all sorts of things, but there's other pollinators out there who only pollinate one thing.
Yeah.
And so the more diverse color, size, height, so many different variables in diversity is the best catch-all term. The more diversity in all of those categories, the better chance of you attracting a more diverse pollinator population.
Absolutely. Volume and diversity. Those are the two things. And then obviously majority of that being native species. You can have a large volume and a ton of diversity of annuals or plants from tropical places that don't exist here. And it's not going to have the same benefit as having huge volume and great diversity of native plants. So if you can keep within those boundaries, you'll definitely see the pollinators for sure. The other thing I would add is don't forget about the stage before the pollinator starts to fly. So it's a caterpillar stage. I know so often people see those caterpillars, and what a caterpillar does is it eats like crazy in order to evolve into the butterfly stage. And that butterfly stage is our pollinator. And then we all love that. They're all pretty. We love them, but we don't love the caterpillar. But you need to have things in your yard that support the caterpillars if you want to have the butterflies. Like one of my favorites, and we didn't have this back in Canada, so I absolutely love it here, and it's the passion flower. Most beautiful flower, like ornate, gorgeous. Takes over though. It is like, you put that in the back of the yard because it is crazy.
It lives there now.
Yeah, but you get a whole bunch of the caterpillars on it, and they eat it like crazy until they turn into the most beautiful butterfly. And my yard is just filled with butterflies once they start hatching. So you want to find out what plants or trees equate to your pollinator. I think it is, I'm not going to say it right. This is definitely, you're going to see the lack of Southern in me, but Catalpa trees, is that it?
Catalpa, yeah.
I say it right?
Catalpa.
I'm almost Southern, yes. So those trees, obviously there's a worm. I know they're great for fishing. My husband tells me all the time, but also over time they become a pollinator. Pecan trees. I actually said pecan, right, too. I didn't say pecan. Yeah. But pecan trees have a pollinator with them. All kinds of trees. Pawpaw trees. I love the pawpaw tree. I've been trying to grow them. I'm having some troubles getting them to grow, but they grow a pollinator. So there are a ton of different trees that equate to different pollinators that are super valuable to have.
So one of you earlier, Sarah, I think it was you, mentioned the word, I heard the word perennial pop out of your mouth. And so some of our viewers may or may not be familiar with the terms perennial, annual, things like that. Let's talk about the differences and what those terms mean, and maybe give some examples of those categories.
Sure. Perennial, I like to describe it like this. Perennial is permanent. That's the best way for me to remember it. It is something that will come back year after year after year. And it could be a flower, it could be a bush. Those are both examples of a perennial. Annuals is you have an annual membership somewhere. You have to do it every year. So that's going to be like what's really popular plant from the big box stores. They're going to have your stuff like your marigolds, when you need this stuff, it goes away, right?
Petunias.
Petunias, exactly. Salvias is another one. Some salvias can be, sorry, bad examples. Some are perennial, some are annual. But you want to have both of those. And you can also remember with annuals, a really nice feature is that they will drop seeds and come back, hopefully, most likely. Some are more prolific at that than others, but you will have annuals that drop seed and they'll come back the next year. So they almost kind of become a perennial existence in your yard because they are so good at dropping seeds. So
okay, all right. So stop.
Yes.
So I'm thoroughly confused now.
Uh-oh.
If an annual drops seeds and comes back, why is that not a perennial? Scientifically, what's the difference?
It's the whole plant dies. The roots die. The whole plant dies every time it gets too cold.
Okay.
A perennial, its roots continue to they stay in the ground. So they're above ground. Foliage and stems will die, but that's just their time to recharge underground, so they can pump out a better plant the next year.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay, good. So there's perennial, annual. Anything else? Is everything
Annuals?
Say it again.
But go ahead, Jolene. Go ahead.
No, you're actually wait. This is your and you do this one.
What did you say?
A biannual.
Okay, now see, I didn't say that a while ago because I thought maybe I was stupid, but I'm thinking that there was also a biannual.
Yes. So a biannual, now correct me, I'm not an expert. I'm just amazing at Google sometimes. No, a biannual is something that you plant it the first year generally from seed. It's going to grow luscious foliage for a whole year and then bloom the next year. Am I right on that?
I think you're pretty correct to me. Like what I've understood, and again, I'm in the same boat. I'm not necessarily an expert, but for me, the best biannual that comes to mind is hollyhocks. I love hollyhocks. The first year they come out a bunch of leaves. The second year I actually get flowers. Then I get seeds, and then that next year I get nothing. Again, no flowers. And the year after that, I would get flowers. So it's something that doesn't necessarily bloom every single year. Doesn't necessarily die off, I don't think. I think I've had a hollyhock for 2 years and it hasn't died. So
it'll go into like a dormant, recharge
time.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And I think I heard one of you say that and again, I guess this goes in line with volume and diversity, but that it's a good idea to have a mix of perennials and annuals.
Definitely. Perennials and annuals have different bloom times. That's fantastic. You are providing them with nectar sources throughout different times of the year. And it comes back to what Sarah's been saying all along is you want to have them blooming at all different times.
So let's go back to the big box stores and commercially packaged seeds. Do they have to say so on the packet? Do they have to, is it safe that if it, boy, I'm stumbling over my words. Do the manufacturers have to put what they treat the seeds with on the packets that I would get at a big box store?
So I think they probably do. I've had a few experiences where I have bought seeds, a large volume of seeds from a seed company, not necessarily from the big box stores, where I get them home and they're very clearly covered in a chemical. They're bright red, you know.
Yeah.
Like that was not advertised when I purchased. It didn't say coated. There was nothing there to tell me that.
Right.
But most reliable seed places will tell you straight on the package, you know, no whatever. GMOs comes up. I don't know if that's one, but it comes up all the time. But there are certain ones that you can look for that you can tell right off the bat that they are chemically coated. Chances are that those are probably not going to be completely safe seed. But
you bring up a great point, you know, that common sense would tell you if it looks fake.
Like fluorescent
You know,
pink, yes.
it looks like
Yeah.
a jelly bean, you know, and it's nice and shiny, then there's something not natural about that.
yes.
And
Yeah.
I'll add,
Sorry,
I'll
Sarah.
add that. You kind of have to know, I guess, after like 10 years of buying seeds, like a seed maniac like I do, you start to understand certain terminology. You start seeing things. Like you said, the safe seed pledge is a good thing to notice. Knowing your sources, just your seed companies in general. I will share a funny story from when I was young about seeds. I got a gift certificate to a bigger company, and I called them and I was like, I am all organic and I need this and this and this and heirloom was really important to me. And she set me straight. She was like, certain things are just by default heirloom quality seeds, which means that they are going to produce the same plant year after year, as long as you don't have like, you know, tomatoes. If you're growing 20 varieties and you're not taking the steps to what's the word I'm looking for, to separate them to save seeds specifically, then you're going to cross pollinate things, which is a natural thing. It's okay. But you know, you live and learn, and you realize certain terms that they use on seed packages help you understand the type of seed you're buying, as far as if they're coated, pelletized. Coated, not so good. Pelletized, it's okay. It's just a tiny seed, and it makes it easier for a consumer to plant them if they're pelletized. It doesn't mean
What does that mean? What does it mean to be pelletized?
Like I was saying, it has like a little coat. It's like okay, so poppy seeds are like the tip of a pin, so small, right? And snapdragons, for instance. And so a consumer has better ability to plant them like one by one. They'll put a coating on them, which is not bad per se, like adding a pollinator affecting coating. It's just like an inert product that helps you grab the seed and put it in the pot one at a time, right? So just knowing those certain terms when you're buying seeds really, really, really helps. I just feel like there's a lot of like websites out there. Let's just go to and say it like this, that they're deceiving. They're going to say like, we're selling a vibrant blue morning glory. Vibrant blue is not a common flower color, period. Yep. You just don't get it in nature. So if you see something that is a very random color or pattern or anything, and it's generally coming out of like a foreign country, it's not going to be what you're expecting.
It's probably also not going to be native either. So
no.
I'm sorry. When I first moved here, I didn't know that. And I was searching for certain seeds, and I ended up on Amazon, and I did order some, and I made the terrible mistake. First off, they showed up with no labeling whatsoever. So here I am with probably 10 packs of seeds, and they're probably like weed seeds. They probably weren't even the seeds, like now that I know about them, they don't look anything like any seed that I would have ordered. So big no way. I still have the seeds, you know, I'm not going to plant them because I don't think it's going to be any good for this area. And two, I don't know what they are. So definitely avoid Amazon for seeds unless you can tell like, okay, this is, you know, Burpee seeds, which I can look up online and see that they are an American, I think they're American company, I don't know, but you could look them up online and find their home base basically.
You think we could, can you guys put me together a list of reputable seed companies that I could link to or put in the description? Because I'm sitting here thinking, Sarah, I had no idea that there's no such thing as or that it's rare to find flowers that are vibrant blue. I didn't know that.
Blue is the uncommon color. That's true.
Well, see, I didn't know that.
But yeah, there's certain.
So my point is, there's going to be a lot of my viewers are not going to know that, and so the safest thing, it's a lot easier to tell our viewers where to go than to try to tell them where not to go.
True.
And so if we could put together a list of reputable seed companies that the viewers who are just getting started wanting to buy seeds for pollinators, I think it'd be a great idea if we could put in the description some reputable seed companies that they could feel safe going through and trust their seeds. Well, great information so far. So we've talked about leaving habitat, not being so uptight about everything looking just so, that sometimes the not just so areas are great habitats for pollinators, to give that some consideration. We've talked about adding a mixture of perennials and annuals. We've talked about, I love that, I'm going to have this catchphrase in my head now, volume and diversity. Dealing with colors and sizes and shapes and timing, that things that bloom at different times, other than vegetation that we can care for, leave alone, plant. What other considerations do we have to have in mind if we're trying to attract and provide a beneficial area for pollinators?
Man, I feel like this is just such a crash course in all things pollinator and pollination. Tell me in the comments below what ideas you've gotten about plants that you would like to plant at your place, whether you have a balcony on an apartment building or you have a large plot of land or anything in between. Have you been thinking about landscaping for pollinators? Let us know in a comment. Did we miss anything? Point it out in the comments below. Also, get ready for the next segment where we're going to talk about affecting big change. We're going to look at some problems facing pollinators and what you have the power to do to change that. Thanks again for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content just like this.